Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about 1408 by Stephen King, one of my favorite short stories of his, mostly because of the adaptation. This is a great example of a medium or kind of low tier Stephen King book, but it makes a great adaptation. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the book and the movie that was adapted from it. So yeah, as always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's begin. So 1408. 1408 is one of the many short stories that Stephen King has written. It's in one of his collections of short stories. Wow, I can't speak. It's in one of his collection of short stories, and it is a really interesting story. But the best part of it, honestly, is the adaptation because the book itself, the short story, is very medium. It is very atmospheric. It is very fun. Not fun, but it is very atmospheric and is really interesting. And it is intriguing in the way that we kind of learn about the history of the room and the way all of it works and like a lot of the stuff around it and just kind of the perspective of the people who have kind of got the evidence, I guess we could say, after the fact. Like a lot of that build up, not even build up, a lot of that setup and a lot of that existing in the story is really fun and really well done. But the thing that is the core of the story, that at least for me, that is the core of the story as a result of having seen the movie before I read the book, is the stuff that Ensign goes through inside the room, obviously. But in the movie, it's really visual because they take full advantage of the visual medium. Like we build tension in different ways, and there's just like a lot of metaphorical stuff that he goes through to the point where it feels like the story is really an allegory on like Dante's Inferno. Like he's going through the different levels of perdition or something like that. And it's really interesting. It's done really cleverly, it's very compelling, and it's kind of scary. But when you compare it to what was actually done in the book, at least for me, I am left disappointed because in the book it's a lot more subtle and it really, really relies on you to fill in all the blanks. So essentially, in the movie, like he kind of experiences the same 1 hour over and over and over, and you kind of feel the infinity of it. You feel the loop. You feel the trapped nature of him. You feel like you won't ever get out the same way that he does. But somehow in the book, that definitely knowing King, because King has the ability to do this, he can stretch time in various ways with the way he writes and stuff. So I find it really ironic that the book feels so fast. It is a very short book, but the time in the room and all the events that he actually goes through feels so quick and so minimal that it almost takes away the haunting. It's not even very scary. It's just more like the room. I mean, the room's not even really haunted. It's explicitly said the room's not haunted. It's just an evil fucking room. So the thing is, he kind of goes into it and almost immediately just kind of deteriorates mentally. He's not truly tortured. He's not truly poked at like he is in the movie. In the book, he's really just kind of mentally deteriorating. Like before he even goes into the room, he stares at the door and he gets a sense of like seasickness or like vertigo and stuff. He's just like wibbly wobbly. It's like something that you can't really put in a movie because you can't sense that, but the thought in the book is there. So you kind of get this eerie tension thing that kind of builds, but nothing really comes of it. And it's kind of like that with everything else that he experiences in the room. And it's really just, it's very subtle. It feels more akin to someone losing their mind as opposed to someone being haunted. I think that is the harsh and clear difference between the two, between the book and the adaptation. The adaptation is a better example of a haunting story than the book is. The book is someone slowly going insane in apparently 70 something minutes because he only stays in the room for about an hour and he has a tape recorder. So they kind of do it through the tape recorder in like a hindsight thing where most of what he's saying on a tape recorder is gibberish or fragmented sentences and just doesn't make sense. So again, as I said, it leaves you to just add all this in your head. Like you have to basically imagine it. So the worst kind of haunting or freaky experience you could have imagined happened to him in this room. But I mean, I can see that that would have been very scary, very compelling at the time, or maybe like in the 80s or whatever. I'm not even honestly sure when he wrote it because I didn't look into it that deeply. But it would have worked so much better in that time. Whereas now it just doesn't. It just, I mean, it still comes across as the gradual deterioration of a sick mind or something, but it just doesn't work in the same way as the tension and fear and just dread that the movie version creates in the nature of this haunting. So it's just really ironic. I think this is one of my favorite situations with King and his adaptations because it's such an ironic situation. It's almost as ironic as The Shining, but very different in its irony in that this is one kind of story, the short story, but the adaptation takes that story and elevates it so much more visually, character wise, like the tension, the fear, the dread, all of it is just so well done. So I can't recommend the movie enough. But if you want to have a fun little comparison and like think about the differences and stuff and see where the director got kind of his ideas and kind of how his mind and ideas and stuff expanded from the book, definitely compare the short story to the book. It's a lot of fun, especially if you like doing that stuff, because I do. I'm a big fan of Cineflix, What's the Difference, too. So, like, that kind of is in my head, too, same kind of thing. Actually, I think there might be an episode on this. I might watch that. But, yeah, so now I'm definitely getting into rambling mode. I'm starting to ADD real hard. But, yes, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I really like the movie, and I like the short story, but I like the movie more. It's rare that I like a Stephen King adaptation more than the original source material, but this is one of those clear instances where I really like the movie a lot more than I like the short story, even though the short story is still really good for a short story. So yeah, as always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and if you've read 1408, the short story, or if you've only seen the movie, let me know what your favorite part about the movie or your favorite idea that was put forth in the book is. Let me know about that in the comments down below. So as always, I will talk to you all next time. Peace.